Welcome. I hope you feel at home when you see my face and when you see this space that I'm recording in. My hope and dream is that as you practice cross yoga with me, that you'll find ease in your body, in your mind as well, and maybe connection with the higher power, God, or whatever you choose to call it. Today in the class, the physical part was going to be more on balancing. I love balancing postures. And then I'm going to share with you a story that is quite a challenge, actually, for me. And maybe also for you. It's from the Old Testament where God is testing a guy called Abraham. So take a seat if you're curious, and bring, if you need, straps and maybe even a chair. If you know you're struggling a little bit with your balance, you can always put your hand up on a chair. Find a seat and close your eyes. Before I'll share the story, try to find a comfortable seat, so it might not be like I'm seated. And breathe, sigh out, if that's what you like to do. Maybe you tune in on what you feel in your body, not your emotions, but your body. Are you holding tension in your shoulders or anywhere where you can actually just let go? Relax so much in your belly that you can do belly breaths, as we call it, these deep inhales through your nose and exhale through your nose again. And try to pay attention to where your mind is going off to. We just had a moment of silence, and where did your mind wander off to? Bring that thought, that idea, that worry, whatever it was, to God. Surrender it, let it go. And keep doing that as we practice today. If there are things popping up in your mind that is not relevant, you don't have to think about anything else than breathing, moving, and the things that I share. So keep your eyes closed and listen up. Abraham. The story of Abraham is actually quite long in the Old Testament, the first book in the Bible. You are welcome to read it all. Abraham was an old guy when he got his first child. And God had promised Abraham that he would be a people that was large, a people as huge as the stars in heaven and the sand on the beach or in the desert. So a huge group of people, the Israelites, it turned out to be later on. But he does only get one son with his wife. And of course that's enough. But when this son was maybe a young boy, this is what is happening. So just listen. I won't read it all, but just taking it through it. So they are living in tents out in the desert. Sometimes later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about." Early the next morning, Abraham got up, saddled the donkeys, and he took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. And then they travel there and prepare everything. A little bit later it says, then they reached the place God had told Abraham about. And Abraham built an altar and there arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of God, our Lord, called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." And then God provides other animal sacrifice offering. What does this story make you feel? I am to some degree mortified. What an odd story. And for now, let's just be in that process of the odd story that we might have a really hard time understanding and getting anything out of, so to say. Do a little bit of free seated movements or stretch your legs if you're up for that now. If you're ready to stretch out your legs, do that gently, taking a little bit of time to turn around on the mat. Bring your hands pretty wide, spread out the fingers, lift your hip up and back, and do your downward facing dog with one knee bended at the time so you warm up the back of the legs. Make sure you micro bend the elbows and keep the shoulders nicely away from the ears. I'll put together a little bit of a sequence now. Move into plank just for a sec. And bring down your knees. So you come into a little bit of a wide tabletop. Bring the right hand up towards the sky for a twist. And then thread the needle. So your right nails comes down on the floor. Coming back again, take this right hand, reach it out in front of you. Right hand in front of you, left leg back for this bird dog variation. And then knee and elbow in if possible. Knee down, hands on the floor. Tuck the toes, maybe you find a plank. I'm going to move my feet a little bit further back. And then down dog. All of that opposite direction, moving into plank. Come down on your knees, just Put some extra padding under the knees if you need to. Left arm reaches up. Keep a little bit of tension in your belly. Thread the needle. Shoulder maybe all the way down on the floor. Back in tabletop, just to bring the left hand to the front. Right foot back, toes pointing down. Knee, elbow. Release. Hands down. Tuck the toes. Move them back as much as you need to. Down dog. One more time on each side, maybe with the breath. Inhale, plank. Knee down, exhale. Right hand up, inhale. Thread the needle, exhale. Inhale, right hand to the front. Left foot brings along. Take an inhale here. Knee, elbow in. Spine towards the sky. Inhale, land, tuck the toes, lift the knees maybe. And exhale, down dog. Slow down in a bit. Inhale, plank. Knee down, exhale. Your left arm up overhead. And thread the needle, exhale. Bird dog, inhale, left hand to the front. Exhale, right knee back or leg back. Stay put with a strong core as you inhale. Knee, elbow, exhale. Lots of balance here. Inhale, slowly make your way into plank. Exhale, down dog. And here I might widen my distance in between my hands a little bit. Take just one breath and shine the tailbone up and back. And then move your feet to the top end of the mat where I will slow down after we have folded forward. So you might take a hold of your elbows and go for a little bit of a shake from left to right. Coming back to the story, what I notice is that 2 times God calls Abraham, and Abraham says, yes, here I am. God is not forcing us to do anything. He wants us to reply. That's one of the takeaways. Move into mountain pose here at the top of the mat. And then you might think, why in the whole world did Abraham say yes? Well, he trusted God. We have not heard the whole story before all of this, but it's a long story before this story. And Abraham had reason to believe that God was faithful and good. So maybe he trusted that also in this really odd situation. Chair pose. Don't have to go super deep because we probably won't stay here for that long. You're going to bring your right heel or ankle on the left thigh there for table figure 4 variation. You can take your hands into prayer and sit your hip back. You stay put where you are and feel everything shaking and moving. Your spine is leaned slightly forward in the shape of a chair. Slowly release. Bring the right foot to the back for a variation of Warrior 3. So you extend both legs. Toes are pointing down at the right back foot. I keep my hair in prayer pose. If you want to do Warrior 3, you can do that, or airplane with the arms out. One more breath. Bring both hands down, lower down the right foot to the back end of the mat. Pivot the foot around for warrior two. You might extend both legs before you bend the front knee again and find warrior two, stacking front knee over ankle. Take one big breath. And then you might take a look at the screen. Bring your palms together on top of your head. And before you do anything else, square off the shoulders and the hip with the long end of your mat so you're not leaning halfway forward. Put the elbows in by the temples and then the thumbs pointing back here for a little bit of a tricep stretch as you're standing in your warrior two. No need to push the shoulders up towards the ears. And no need to tuck out the tailbone. So engage the core, the abs a little bit to keep the spine long and strong. Release both hands, windmill them around, get yourself down into downward facing dog. So I'm taking the back heel off before I step the feet back there. You can stay in your downward facing dog or do an optional vinyasa, moving into plank if you want to get some more core and arm strength. On toes or knees, lower down with the elbows in by the ribs. Lifting your chest in a variation of cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. Try to notice if your arms and your ears are somewhat aligned here. And soften your knees after that. Maybe sigh out. Go to the front of the mat. Fold forward. And then rise up into mountain pose again. Sit down in your chair and then we're gonna do this figure four opposite side. So you'll bring your left heel, ankle, whatever really works for you up there. Bending your knees, leaning slightly forward, and bring this knee out to the side so it's not coming up but out. Gaze on the floor and then focus on breathing a lot. Release the left foot and bring it slowly to the back of the mat, going aligned with the floor, just as much back as you want to. Warrior three variation. Hip is closed. Bring your arms where you feel more stable or the most challenged. Bring both hands down. Lower down the left foot, warrior two. Again, just adjust. Go for the wide distance or the shorter, depending on your condition today. How much energy you have. So Abraham was tested by God, and that is a phrase I personally don't like. Why do God need to test people? Why do you think? Bring your hands again up on top of your head, squaring off shoulder and hip, knee still over ankle. Bend the elbows, but elbows somewhat by the temple or pointing up. And your gaze might be in the same direction as your sternum. Release your hands. And then we're going to do a posture we didn't do on the other side because you're just going to do it once. You're going to pivot that foot that's at the front. So probably you'll be elongated with the long end of the mat. Let the toes point in and let your head drop down. You can stay here, or if you're really into headstands, variations, go ahead and do a headstand. I'm not going to explain it a whole lot, but if you want to try one out, go ahead and do one. Slowly ease out of whatever posture you're in. If you're still kind of playing, maybe pause the video. From there, walk your hands around, step back into down dog. You might shake your head if you were actually doing a headstand of some sorts. Optional vinyasa, plank, low plank, cobra up dog, and then keep your knees down for child's pose. One thing I believe is important to understand here is that God is not playing around. Being tested by God is not because God is a kind of sadistic personality that just feels like having a little bit of fun. You sometimes hear that in stories from the Greek gods or the northern gods, Thor and Odin, all these, but the biblical God is not like that. So that's one thing that we can take away out of our minds. God only tests people with a purpose. Lift up again into down dog. Gonna find new shapes of balance posture. Bring the right leg up and back. And then the right foot to the front of the mat somewhere. High lunge to begin with. Hands in prayer pose. Gaze forward. And then we're going to try to see if the two legs here can get almost into the same position or shape, but with the back leg hovering, or the back foot hovering over the floor. So if you're like, what is she saying? Take a look. I'm going to release here and see if I can get my legs somewhat like I was in chair pose, but just hovering with the left leg. Try to copy. It's pretty intense for the right thigh. I hope you feel that. I'm going to extend it in just a moment. Forward fold with a split. So lift left leg up, all the way up towards the sky. Bring your hands down on the floor or a block. And then just lift the left leg up as high as you possibly can, engaging the glute medius and stuff like that. You can keep your fingers on the floor, or if you feel playful, go ahead and hold on to the ankle of the right foot there. I'm not going to go into my deepest forward fold because I cannot balance if I do that. Breathe. And then lower down. Extend both legs. I'm bringing my left leg back again for a pyramid kind of a situation. You can go shorter, wider. Gonna stretch in a more passive sense the front leg there. Either with the foot down or with the toes pointing up, your choice. All right, step back, down dog. One more time, optional vinyasa or stay in down dog. Left leg up and back. And bring the left foot to the front. High lunge. Prayer pose. Are you ready to bring your right foot almost to where the left is, but let it keep hovering in a variation of chair? Avoid the tendency of pushing the hip out to stabilize yourself. Keep the hips here tightly tucked in. One more breath. And maybe with a sigh of enjoyment, fold forward and lift the right leg up. I like to point my toes just because sometimes it's nice to do that. Stay put with your fingers on the floor or on a block, or hold the ankle. With your breath going steady. And maybe you've sensed that this foot, this other leg is easier to lift or more difficult to lift. Just notice. Let go, drop the right foot back for this wide pyramid. Again, go shorter in between the legs here or wider, whatever you like. Hands under on blocks or floor. We're going to take a seat on the mat. So you can bring the right foot or leg there behind the left and then cross and take a seat. Going for a little bit of a stretching thing now. Seated spinal twist. You can do that one with the legs also, but you can just stay seated here. Left hand on the right thigh. Really important though is that you have this length in your spine, that you're not leaning back. So what I see a lot is this variation. When I stay really strong and then crossing or twisting, rotating. And if you want to strengthen your core, your spine, you can also do this variation in a hovering variation where you don't have the support of the back hand and even this hand on the thigh, and just stay here. Back to center. Release a little bit, and then twisting the other side. Have you ever felt tested by God? Or just tested in general in life? I know I have, not to the extent as Abraham did. But I do have a couple of times in my life where I felt like God was taking me through some stuff that was not comfortable. And he gave me choices to say, do you want to follow Or do you want the easy path? Are you willing to sacrifice this or that to pursue this calling? And I must say that when I have replied yes, it's been rewarding. And in my life, when I have felt God was testing me, it's because He wanted me to take me to a new level, or into a new calling, or into a new new era, so to say, in my life, but without forcing me. Coming back to center. Extend your legs out. You can go for plow pose if you love that one, with your legs over the head. I'm just going to lean forward. So if you're in a period right now, maybe you're really in a hard spot due to illnesses or financial whatever. Maybe if you feel like it, you can say to God, yes, I'm here. Your will be done. It says in the Bible as well that God does not test us beyond what we can handle. So God knows our limits. But sometimes He tests us on the things that we love the most. Maybe Abraham almost put his son in the spot of God. Maybe he worshipped his son, his one and only son, to the degree that God was saying, is this healthy, Abraham? We don't know. Release and move back on your back for resting. If there is a posture too that you need to do, you can pause the video now, but I just have one more thing to share. Resting pose, down here flat on the mat with the feet resting out to the side, hands on the floor. As a mom myself, I know how little I would sacrifice my children, because I absolutely love them, and I would, you know what I'm saying. But maybe this story also speaks to a sacrifice that happened in the New Testament, where God, according to the Bible, gave His only Son to die on the cross. In that case, God did not offer a substitute sacrifice. It was His Son that willingly went on the cross. Not as a test, but as the ultimate way of setting us free. I know it can be hard to understand, but think of it as a sign of ultimate love. The ultimate compassion. And the last sacrifice. This is how much God loves us. And that is also why we can trust in Him when we can't see the road ahead. I will finish this video now, and I'll just stay down here on the mat, but wish you blessing, strength, and courage in whatever you're going through. Thank you.